On a foreign scene, an Italian who was taken hostage with a Canadian woman in Burkina Faso in 2018 has returned to Rome after the pair emerged safely in Mali. A Mali airport source had earlier told AFP that the couple, Italy's Luca Tacchetto and Canada's Tedith Blaise, had left the capital Bamako on a special flight. A Canadian embassy source in Mali said arrangements had been made for them to return to their respective countries. Diplomatic and UN sources said the pair had been found in good health in the northwest of Mali. Burkina Faso, which had been a safe destination for years, had been wrecked by jihadist violence since 2015, and several foreigners have been kidnapped. An Australian and Romanian national are still remaining missing. Mali has been struggling to curb an Islamic insurgence that erupted in the north in 2012 and has since claimed thousands of military and civilian lives. And that's the wrap of the news update at 1. Today's hustle comes up shortly. Do stay with us. I am Wealth Wilson.
Today's news, today's entertainment, today's sports, today's issues. Today on Today95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
I am a proud Nigerian. I have been placed here by God for a time such as this.
At my back, I ain't coming.
The degradation, challenges, and problems faced by Nigeria are the perfect backdrop for me to develop and utilize my God-given potential.
I will not complain. I will not criticize. Rather, I will use my skills, gifts, relationships,
and experience to find long-lasting and revolutionary solutions to the many challenges confronting Nigeria.
Nigeria will rise again.
Because I am here, I will leave this nation
a better place than I met it. I will work to make Nigeria a praise on the earth.
I will work to make Nigeria a praise on the earth. So help me God.
Let me tell you how I got this far.
This message is brought to you by Today95.1 FM, Voice of the People.
Officer, take. Officer, give me number. No time. Ma, they match am, they go.
What? You bribing the officer of the law? You under arrest. Let me see your papers. You can go. They're in order. Drive safe, okay?
I don't understand though. No be the same country again. Officer reject bribe. They arrest me yesterday. That yesterday, I go do my papers. See as I pass now. I pass without fear. You too, make you do wetin dey right. For we country to better, it dey for we hand. If you like, do like say you no hear am. To give or to take bribe, na offense.
Una don't hear am, abi? You hear am too, abi? You hear am. You hear am well. They themselves, they hear am. Now the voice of the people. Now him bring this message give una. Today 95.1 FM. Now we be the voice of the people.
Corruption is a dishonest action that destroys people's trust. Corruption takes many forms and can be interpreted by many people in many ways. It is hard to enter into any sector in Nigeria without observing one corrupt practice or the other. The faces of corruption ranges from political, universities and college, bank sector, the civil service, even the religious bodies. In Nigeria, factors like greed, poor youth empowerment, poverty, unemployment, etc. are said to be responsible for corruption. However, no reason is good enough to be corrupt, because corruption is capable of crippling our economy, raise poverty level, bring about national crises, as well as poor national development. Stop the embezzlement and misappropriation of public or government funds, bribery, malpractice, man no man, and treat all citizens equally today. A corrupt-free nation is possible. This message is powered by your premium talk radio Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
This is today's hustle. One show that embodies objectivity. We raise the bar in examining the good, the bad, the sordid, everything that has to do with society.
In America, you buy a big house and they pay gradually for 30 years of your life. That is politics. In Nigeria, you carry out your salary and go and rent one room. Bad politics.
Everything that has to do with
you
society.
must negotiate. If we don't negotiate, when a man is pushed to the wall, he bounces back to double that force. We have been pushed to the wall.
The Hustle. Every weekday from
1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
on Today 95.1 FM.
All right, good afternoon to you. 10 minutes gone into the hour, and yes, you are tuned to Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. We are your premium talk radio station, and it is time for us to talk again. It's a wonderful Monday afternoon, fat weather.
Very wonderful one, I bet, right?
Oh my. Okay. I guess that was supposed to make me feel bad. That was supposed to make me feel bad, right?
No, that was part of the beautiful afternoon greeting.
Actually, it is a beautiful afternoon. I mean, the weather is fair and wonderful.
Quite hot.
Hot for you?
Yes, really hot outside.
Oh, really? I've not been outside in a long time now, yeah? But I think what is hot are the trending stories out there. Interesting, right? So it's today's hustle with Wealth Wilson and yours truly, Kalada, in the studio, yeah? All right, so what do we start with? Let's go straight into the business of the afternoon and let's look at what is trending out there. Like I said, it is hot on the news platform. And we want to look at what do we start with now?
Let's start with what happened in the weekend. Well, the weekend saw a lot of things happen in the political terrain, right? And one of which would be Pandef, Afenifere, Ohanese, and the Middle Belt calling out the federal government, asking them to desist from reckless borrowing. Remember the $27 billion dollar that was supposed to be given the federal government or approved
22 points. Is it 27? $22.9 billion?
Well, 27.
27, all right, okay.
Now, according to the Vanguard newspaper, elders of the Southern Middle Belt Leaders Forum during the weekend kicked against the plan by the federal government to borrow the sum of $27 billion recently approved by the National Assembly. Now, the leaders, however, expressed worry over the continuous external debt of the country, which has risen to over $80 billion in just a few years. Now, this was contained in a communique signed by the Chief E.K. Clerk from Pandef, Chief Ayo Adebanjo from Afenifere, Chief Mwondo from Ohanese, Air Commodore Idongisid Nkanga retired, and some other Middle Belt, elders and all of that. Now, they said, or the communique reads, first of all, the meeting deliberated exhaustively on various prominent national issues. At the end of the meeting expressed concern over the recent coronavirus pandemic and urges the federal government to double on the ongoing efforts to protect lives of Nigerians over the plague. And they also expressed grave concern over the deteriorating state of the nation, in particular, as it pertains to the continued assault of peace and security. And moving on, they also talk about the borrowing, external debt of the country.
So they talked about security. They talked about
the coronavirus,
which I still think, wow. which I still think it's what do you call it, the fast, in my own opinion, by the way. And they talked about borrowing, which I think we do need. Like I said last week, in the course of all of this economic brouhaha that we are currently experiencing, the world economy is currently, dipping, is going down. I really do think that we need money. Because you saw that report where it said we're gonna be losing $8.96 billion in 6 months, thereabout.
Well,
so,
every economy needs money, but then what is your plan for borrowing and debt servicing? That's where the problem is, and I'm guessing that's where Pandef and Afenifere is also coming from.
All right, but the truth is, if we do have plans, I mean, we never do have plans in Nigeria, do we? Basically, our plans are about building roads and railway stations and all of that. And I always ask the question, what are the plans? What plans do we have in paying back this money? And every time I ask it, people tell me I've received the brown envelope. And I mean, we do need money. That's what I have to say. We do need money. But let's start with saying, or giving our condolences to the people who died or who suffered loss, in the pipeline explosion or the gas explosion in Lagos State. Is it help me with the name now, Bulu welcome.
Abule Ado.
I've been hearing Yoruba people have been calling it in a different way. Is it Abule?
Abule Ado.
As simple as that.
Yes.
All right. From today's hustle, we are, sending our condolences to the families and the people who have lost, lives and properties, and also sending our condolences to some people in parts of Bayelsa State and parts of Rivers State who felt the F tremor. Is it yesterday? I mean, over the weekend, and some of their houses were destroyed, and I think.
When was the last time we had an S tremor?
There was one in Abuja about 2 years ago.
According to the report, these people have been having F tremors, regularly since 2010. According to the report that we do have.
How come we're just really just finding out about this now?
It's a shocker to me as well. But then
I
again,
do feel that the
condolences to them
state
as well.
government
should be in the know.
check. Yeah, should be in the know, and also check the topography of the area and make sure, right, that this is not caused by man-induced activities. I used to believe that air tremors were as a result of what they call this thing now. It was in geography.
Seismic movements within the subsurface.
And
I studied geology.
I know.
Yeah.
And now that movement now, it's due to the exploration done in the Niger Delta.
It could be due to that. It could be due to other natural reasons as well. But that could induce it.
Yeah, so it would be a man-inflicted pandemic, right? I mean,
they would have to conduct investigations to
but
know
that's where I was going to, and I hope that they do conduct those investigations early enough so the people, can be. I mean, that those villages have suffered enough. Some of those villages were plagued by flood during the flooding season. Now we're having them go through tremors, and it's really.
I feel like in as much as we want to explore the natural resource that we have in these areas, we should also try as much as possible to care and cater for the environment. Because at the end of the day, if we don't have the environment, then we don't have the resources in the first place. So we should try and make sure that the environment is in the best shape possible. We'll not try to infringe on some of the natural, activities that go on within the environment and in the subsurface as well.
All right, let's move on to more trending issues right about now. You must have had the breaking news already that the appeal court has put off the hearing in Oshomele's appeal. According to the Nation newspaper, the scheduled hearing in the appeal by the National Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, ABC, Adams Oshomele, has been put off by the Court of Appeal, Abuja. Now, the court had last week sent notices of hearing to parties in the appeal. But when parties got to court today, a panel of 3 justices, led by Justice Stephen Ada, sat to hear other cases. Emphasis on that, sat to hear other cases. Now, the panel later rose with the promise that another panel will be reconstituted to hear Oshomele's appeal. Now, parties were, however, taken aback when, rather than having a new panel, a female official of the court announced to a packed courtroom that the court is elected to hear Oshomole's appeal on a later date to be communicated to parties later. Now, Oshomole and the supporters who have been in court since a little over 8 a.m. are currently meeting with their team of lawyers on what next steps to take. As he exited the courtroom with his supporters behind, Oshomole told journalists that he would await the court's decision in the case. Meanwhile, if you go to the Punch newspaper, you must have heard that anti-Oshomole forces weakening APC Buhari regime Tinubu wants. Now, if I should read that, the All Progressive Congress members opposed to its national chairman, Adams Oshomole, and his supporters on Sunday stepped up the battle for control of the party ahead of its Tuesday National Executive Committee meeting. While some members of the ruling party told the Punch that there was no going back on their decision to remove Oshomole, the chairman of the APC in Lagos State, Alhaji Tunde Balogun, said state chairman of the party would not abandon the former Edo State governor. He stated these just as the national leader of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, on Sunday hit hard at members of the party pushing for the removal of Oshomole, saying they had been afflicted by 2023 virus. He said those who were afflicted by 2023 virus were undermining the APC and weakening the regime of President Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired. Now, the crisis in the APC worsened on March 4 when the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Jabi Abuja, ordered an interim suspension of Oshomole as the APC national chairman. The court hinged its decision on Oshomole's suspension as member of the APC in Edo State. Now, guys, how do you see this panning out? First of all, a lot of supporters of Oshomole were saying that, hey, on Monday, we'll go to the Court of Appeal and we will get the right verdict. And we will put aside the FCTI court's verdict or order that said Oshomole should be suspended. But now, for no reason, Oshomole's case at the Court of Appeal has been pushed forward. Guys, let's speculate now. What do you think is going on?
Well, where I want to start from is with the whole, having the chieftains and the, stalwarts come out to support him. I mean, last week it looked as though
there were no supporters, right?
Yes, there were no supporters. But this week somehow, support, big weights are just coming in to speak for him, especially Tinubu.
Tinubu is speaking.
Tinubu has ambitions. Tinubu probably needs him. I mean, this is party politics. I really do not want to delve into party politics because in as much as we try to want to analyze, you can't know it as much as the party members, the main dogs of the party. Do you understand? And so when they do their things, it's always confusing from the outside to want to try to
See, the thing is, if we're going by the speculation, it would mean that inwardly in the party, some other person also has ambition.
Definitely.
And somehow it is a tussle, right? To see who would, eventually be a representative of the party. And somehow it's causing some kind of fracas.
Tinubu has not denied that. Tinubu says it is all because of the 2023 virus, and that's what he calls it.
2023 virus.
Coronavirus, 2023 virus. He calls it that, and it has to do with ambition.
You see,
and he's saying because it has to do with ambition, and a lot of these people are not really popular and would want to go through the back door, and that is why they want to Oshomole out of the door. But now, this is being reflected. It's been reflected in the fact that now the Court of Appeal that was supposed to sit on the matter, first of all, looked at other issues. And when it was time for Oshomole's issue, said they were going to reconstitute the panel. And after a while, they say, you know what, we're pushing this to, to a further date, until further notice. What are you speculating right about now? I really would like to hear from you.
To an extent, I just guess Oshomole is trying to buy himself some time.
Is it Oshomole trying to buy himself some time?
People, no, I mean like big people, supporters within the party and people that have influence and need Oshomole are trying to buy him some time and make sure.
If they were going to buy him some time, then that would have been today. but now it's been pushed until further notice.
I think I get what he's saying. That's buying
time.
Okay.
That's buying time. The fact that he has not, the judgment didn't happen today, and
Okay.
it hasn't pushed forward. That's
Wonderful.
you buying time.
Wonderful, all
Now
right.
Oshomole has time now to go meet other people who are probably against him within the party.
Now let me shock
And-
you. Now tomorrow, there's supposed to be an emergency national, what do you call it now? Executive committee meeting tomorrow for the APC, and that would determine the fate of Oshomole. And yet again, according to what we speculate, a lot of the people in the party want Oshomole to go. So if that meeting holds tomorrow, that would mean that extended time you're talking about might not yield any fruits.
No, as a matter of fact, it might be because of the meeting tomorrow that the time was extended.
Okay, so they want to get to know
you
the
get
outcome
to know
of
people, and I, as far as I think I think Oshomole has the backing of the president himself.
All right.
And some other big dogs within the APC. But if you speak to just the general and just the normal member of the APC, they're always complaining about the man. Oshomole is undiplomatic according to them and stuff. But this is party politics. It's more confusing even than the general politics, because certain things go on in
Inwardly.
there that you don't know about. So if you try to analyze tomorrow, another thing might come up. You'll be surprised.
I mean, Tinubu speaking in favor. I mean,
And another thing is this: like, this is a party. We have several people there. They have ambitions, definitely. Tinubu is one. El Rufai is one of them. All in the same party. It will happen in the PDP as well. But I'm just quite. I won't say I'm angry. I'm quite annoyed because we just started. I mean, when was the last elections? It was just last year, right? We can't afford to start talking about 2023 now, when governors and presidents and people who were elected into offices have to start to
all right. Let's move on. You want to say something?
No.
Let's move on now. Now, this one is from the Vanguard newspaper, and it says there is no going back on our decision to leave APC, and it is coming from Segun Uni. Now, a former governor of Ekiti State, Segun Uni, has said that he's not going back on his decision to leave the All Progressives Congress, APC, saying his followers and supporters are not well treated in the scheme of things in the party. Now, according to Segun, he was not accorded his rightful position and respect as former APC Deputy National Chairman, alleging that the issue of his suspension from the party was never attended to by the leadership, adding that he was definitely heading back to the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Remember last week, a lot of question, or my basic question about the social media saga, was anchored on whether APC will survive come 2023. People are beginning to decamp. Remember, I also gave an history about the PDP, before the 2015 election, and I told you certain things like what is happening right now did play out in the PDP. Have you seen more people decamping the APC?
I mean, before now, if you remember, Rocha Sokorcha also made mention of the same thing, talking about having APC live longer than President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure. And not just him, I'm trying to remember if it was also the Ekiti State governor who also made the same statements. And then you look inward, and you see the various fracas going on in the party. I mean, there's a problem with the national chairman, there's a problem with ambition, which somehow subliminally has been put out there by Tinubu. And then you ask yourself, is this how they are going to continue to concede power come 2023 and after?
Well spoken now. Clash of interest. Now, that is my focus. Clash of interest. Do you see the clash of interest taking the party to the next level, like they always like to preach? Or do you see the clash of interest taking the APC down the dungeons?
Well, I've always been the one to think that if the president was really in charge of things going on in his party, he probably would have been able to say one or two things. But it seems like people just always have a way of speaking his mind on his behalf. I don't know if you've noticed. Like, the party members have a way of speaking on his behalf. We don't really get to hear from him per se, right? And then you talk to yourself and say, okay, maybe actually there is a serious power tussle going on, and somehow this would probably see the end of the APC if care is not taken. I mean, they still have time to put their house in order and their affairs right? But somehow, if this continues, if this high-handedness and inordinate ambition continues amongst them, then somehow I think that there's going to be an end.
For me, I think it depends on how they handle it, because clash of interest ambition, and all of these things are normal when you have a gathering
But
of
when it's
politicians.
inordinate, that's where the problem is. And that's what we
exactly.
see with the APC.
We are seeing this with the APC, and it happened the same way with the PDP. The PDP didn't handle it well at the time, and lots of their members defected and created the APC with other political parties. So depending on how they handle it. Now, the way I look at the APC now, I would feel like in normal members, like most members of the APC, aren't happy with Adams Oshomode. Now, some top people within the APC love the man, and probably because of what the man has done for them, because he won lots of positions for them during the last election, remember, and so they support the man. So they have to make sure that there's not so much of a fracture between them and the normal people.
Let's move over because time is no man's friend, and we will be moving over to discuss on the Senate. This one is captioned, Senate bill wants president governors to submit budget in September, at least 90 days before the end of the year. And this is, that journey towards amending the Constitution. We talked about some of those amendments last week. And for this week, we're starting with, 90 days submission of budget. As in 90 days to the end of the year, or before the end of the year, submit your budget. What do you guys make of this? Is it a good one? Because, towards the end of 2019, we saw the National Assembly scramble to, make sure that they look into the budget before the beginning of 2020 to make sure that the financial year starts on the 1st of January of that year. Yeah. So what do you make of this?
Well, I do feel that this is good. It will give them enough time to deliberate and see how to place things, prioritize and make sure that they have a well mapped out plan as to how they would fund and how the budgets will be evenly distributed, right? So I just feel like that's a very good one.
What about you,
Same for me. Very good, very good. I mean, we should have been doing this a while back, and probably, hopefully, to teach our leaders to plan ahead. Not just for the budget, but several other things. I mean, when you have to do certain things before time, I mean, to teach them how to plan ahead of time. Also, even the ministers, the time it takes for them to, give out list of their ministers and commissioners and all of those things. It's better if we have a timeline for it. I remember.
I think we talked about it last week. There's a timeline for it. I can't remember how long, but I think they put a timeline to it. So once you come into office, was it 30 days? 30 days. Yeah, 30 days. We talked about.
But,
last
week, I remember last year the Senate was practically begging the president to release the name of ministers before they went on their break.
Recess,
if we have things good things like this come up within the country to teach our leaders to plan before time, which is a good thing.
All right, so it makes our economy more productive. That's what you all are saying, yeah? All right then.
All right, so quickly, let's look at what farmers have to say with regards to the land border closure. Well, apparently some farmers have come out to say that the land borders should remain closed for another 10 years. Right? Some farmers in the country have called on the President Muhammadu Buhari to ensure that the land border remains closed for the next 10 years. The farmers operating under the auspices of Agricultural Promotion Organization of Nigeria made the call during a solidarity rally in support of border closure during the weekend in Abuja. Now, the thing is, this is a very good call. According to them, border closure, 80% gain, 20% loss. Now, you ask yourself, is this the voice of every farmer in Nigeria? I mean, these people who are calling for the, continuous closure of the borders, right? It would mean that they're seeing some gains. What about local farmers who are yet to benefit from the government programs on agriculture? I mean, those are the ones who actually...
Sorry, let me ask a question now. Who are the people calling for the continuous closure of borders?
Farmers under the APON.
Local farmers as well. I mean,
no. The thing is, yes, local farmers. But how many local farmers are enlisted in this particular program is the question. I mean, you go to certain rural communities, and people don't even know that there are existing programs that encourage agriculture.
Let me take you back to last week, when we talked about devaluation and depreciation, when we're talking about exporting, what do we export, right? Now, what do we manufacture, right? Now, remember there was the argument that we were saying, who knows? I mean, the agricultural sector have been boasting for so long a time that we are doing so well. So maybe this is just a testament to that argument from last week.
Yeah, but I'm saying it is. I'm not saying it's wrong, right? But I'm also saying that if we have at least farmers from this program coming out to say this particular thing, I mean, testifying for the goodness of the programs organized by the federal government, we want to see such programs spread evenly, to farmers who would actually or who are actually into agriculture per se in the country. I mean, we see a lot of grants go out, and then you ask yourself, okay, the people who are receiving these grants, do they actually even carry out any agricultural, produce or production in the country? And then if you find out half of them, majority of them, just get this monies because they want to get it, or some of them just get it and divert it into something else.
Okay.
So the thing is, actual farmers do not see these benefits.
I don't know about that. I mean, you do have a point. No, see, I understand what you're saying, but until the actual farmers will come out and say, I don't get this grant, then we can now have the argument, because until then it will just be speculations, in my opinion. I mean, look at it from that angle as well. Because a lot of the times, what we do get from the federal government is that agriculture is doing well. And then you see certain farmers and come out, oh, we can sell rice. There was a time when they were going to close the borders and people were asking, do we have enough rice? Farmers came in and said that, yes, we have enough rice in the country. So maybe, just maybe, I'm just saying, until the farmers come out and say that they are not getting the grants and they are not seeing all of these things, it's just going to be speculations.
The average Nigerian farmer is probably uneducated and doesn't know the right channels to pass if he or she wants to, send a message to the federal government. So it's possible that farmers don't receive these grants, and they don't also know what to do when they don't receive the grant. They don't know the right channels to, pass their messages across to the government.
Okay, so let's move on to another one now. Continuation from where we stopped last week, when we're talking about the deposed emir of Kano, and we're arguing, it was the Kano government who ordered this banishment, and and after a while on Saturday we got the news that it was actually Malami who ordered the AGF, the Attorney General of the Federation, who ordered this banishment. But he has come out to say it wasn't me as well. So if Kano State government said it wasn't me, and that Malami has made a statement saying it wasn't me, and he was not going to comment any further because it will be it will result to sub judice since the matter is in court, then who ordered the banishment of Sanusi? Because Sanusi beat his chest when he was released and said that, hey, it was the AGF. I am very sure, because when the what do you call it now? When the Attorney General of the state came out and was trying to arrest him and remove him from the palace, he said that he quoted the AGF as ordering his banishment. So, ladies and gentlemen,
are you talking about the police now?
See, when the police went to the palace of the emir of Kano, then the palace is was being occupied by Sanusi at the time. According to Sanusi, according to what I read, and that Sanusi said that the order was from the AGF, and the AGF is saying, I did not give such orders. Guys, I mean, are you sure? I want to speculate. I want to speculate now. Are you sure? Like we said last week, I think you pointed it out that Sanusi is not the one plotting all of this all by himself. Are we sure?
You see, the thing is, I was thinking that this would see, a suit in court, so that apparently we would have a defendant and a prosecutor. That way we get to find out who exactly...
It is actually in court.
Yes, that's how we find out who exactly is responsible for the banishment.
I think he's suing the Nigerian government and well
the
as the Kano State government. Governor
and then the AGF and the AG.
And the AGF as well. But I just believe one thing. I don't think an emir, the emir of Kano for that matter, would be removed without the president being in the know. It might not be the president or that such a removal, but the president would be in the know if the emir
the president
of Kano...
he doesn't know now.
Probably he doesn't just want to get
he doesn't know. He
doesn't
just want to. You can't
tell me.
The president said he knew about the clash between Ganduje and Sanusi, but he did not know about the dethronement and the banishment.
Do you know that statement sends some sort of subliminal message?
What tell me about it? I don't know.
Now, if the president says, I knew about the beef or whatever,
of course, everybody knew about it.
Everybody knew about it. Everybody knew about it.
Yeah.
Like if he says now that I knew there was beef or there was some sort of fight between Ganduje, and Sanusi, but I don't know who ordered his removal. He's trying to probably say it could have been Ganduje.
It's banishment.
Oh,
Removal.
banishment.
Everybody knows that it was Ganduje who removes, the emir or the then emir. But who banished him? That is the $1 million plus pounds plus naira question.
If I were to take like a really wild guess, I would.
Okay, let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. Before we commit a crime now, yeah.
Okay.
But let's move over to another conversation, still anchoring on traditional institutions and government institutions. The caption on the Punch newspaper says, "We mustn't play politics with monarchy security," and this is coming from Tambuwa. Now, Governor Aminu Tambuwa of Sokoto State has advised leaders and stakeholders in the Nigerian project not to politicize issues relating to monarchy, faith, and security. The warning comes barely a week after the Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi II, was deposed by the Kano State government led by Abdullahi Ganduje. Now, Tambuwa gave the advice when the Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi, paid him a courtesy visit in company with the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Abubakar, in Sokoto on Saturday. Now, remember what's happening in Ekiti State, where Fayemi is querying certain traditional rulers.
Okay.
Do you see a position, where the government institution begins to, what's the word now? Begins to, is it, my vocabulary fails me right about now. But do we see where, the traditional institutions are threatened by the people in power? Do we see a position? Because first of all, we saw something similar in River State. I mentioned it last week. We saw, what just happened in Kano State. We are seeing what is happening now in Ekiti State. Are we seeing a trend? Are we seeing a trend where traditional rulers now move about scared of the people in power? Is that even a possibility?
Well, I guess, first of all, it somehow came to my notice that the Constitution does not back, was it the powers or, differentiates the powers of, the traditional rulers away from the state government so that nobody, tries to infiltrate on the other. I mean, they get to decide who comes in and who goes out, right? But then, having that autonomy, all right, backed in the Constitution, which would show that...
Autonomy for traditional rulers?
Which would show, that the state government would not easily infiltrate. I think because the issue of infiltration here has caused, a lot of this back and forth with state governments and traditional rulers.
Now, in the Constitution, there is the, what do you call it now? There's the Ministry of... local government and chieftaincy. I can't remember how it is, but it has to do with the traditional institutions, and that is where the traditional rulers fall under. They fall under that particular office, and that would mean that they get government recognition from the state government. And that's how Sanusi got his own recognition, because he was even appointed by the former governor, what's his name now, Kwankwa. So, so that is how they get their recognition. But then again, that does not mean that because you're tied in one way or another to the government, that the government would not have to control every and all of your activities, because the rulers, yet again, are custodians of the culture and traditions of the people. So I'm wondering, do we see a situation where traditional rulers now get to answer, yes, sir, I'm loyal, sir. Anything you say, sir, like we're seeing some people do to the president?
I mean, that was already happening, if you want to be factual.
Okay.
Traditional rulers already, soak up to most of the politicians. And that's why I'm really against our traditional institutions. I'm really against, government tampering with the traditional institutions, for me personally, because I feel like to lead to some sort of... how do I explain this now? Because at the end of the day, if the government keeps on interfering, and if it's the government that decides who gets to power within the traditional institutions, then you definitely expect all of this to happen. I mean, you want to pay homage to whoever brought you into power. There was a time where before you get into any traditional institution, it has to be probably by way of birthright or some of all these things. But now it has to be you knowing one politician or the other. So basically now, being a king or being the leader of the traditional leader of the community is almost politics. I mean, you have to know somebody in power and the
But
person
after
has to.
becoming, the custodian of tradition, somehow you're supposed to not affiliate yourself with, loyal tendencies for a particular party or person.
But the point is, somebody brought you there, and that person belongs to a party. That person is a politician.
All right. Then this is the time where we get to open the phone lines because time is fast spent. We have 18 minutes left on the clock, and it's today's hustle on Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. I am Kalada, and with me in the studio is Wilson and
Ajayi Boluwatife.
All right, then phone numbers to call in are 0817 0000951 and 0810-951-0951. Of course, your text messages can go to the number 0701-933-9962. Forgive me for being uncoordinated this afternoon, but you never know why. Call in and let's talk. 95.1 FM. I lost that call to call back in, and let's talk about some of the trending issues that we have reeled out for your listening pleasure and your contribution as well. 95.1 FM.
Hello.
Welcome. Yeah, welcome. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Thank you. I'm Mr. Nelson. I'm calling from Ahado.
All right, Minister Nelson, welcome. What story are you interested in?
The major part of the area I want to talk about is the issue of traditional rulers and the government.
All right, then.
The truth about it is that the government really know that if the traditional rulers are completely independent, it will be hard for many of them to get there, because majority of traditional rulers, there are people listening to them whenever they talk. So they can, take the people against the politicians. They will tell them not to vote for them. But since they know that they have such problem, they now look for a way now to control both the traditional rulers.
All right.
So that's all they do.
All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in. I missed that call to call back in 0817-000-0951 and 0810-951-0951. And like I said, you can send in your text messages or WhatsApp messages to the number 0701-933-9962. 95.1 FM.
Salada, good afternoon.
Mascot, welcome.
Thank you so much. Bolu and West, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mascot.
Honestly, Kalada, the traditional institution, we need a constitutional re-engineering to make it very strong. For example, Dr. Siailo Muanya was removed as the traditional ruler by former Governor Rocha Sokorochi. And Emeki Yedion came and respected him. Even our Supreme Court governor now came and said that he should go on as the traditional ruler. So for me, something should be done about the constitution to make our traditional institutions very strong.
All right, then.
Going forward, Osomole honestly should begin to pack his bag, because tomorrow the National Executive Committee of APC must surely go ahead, because there is a court order to that effect. And I see that he may not survive this thunderstorm which is blowing his way now. For Tinubu, there is, for the letter he wrote, there is nobody that will be a godfather in Nigerian politics again. Because Osomole is the problem, the architect of his own problem. Remember, this problem started from Edo. He caused the problem by trying to make himself a godfather in Edo politics, when he himself said he has the first godfather. So, for me, Osomole should not think to face the music and not sit well, because as from tomorrow, I don't know what will happen.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in, Dad. Thank you very much. Keep your calls coming in. What do we have now? 14 minutes left on the clock. Who's there? 95.1 FM.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, Obed is calling from Port Harcourt.
Welcome, Obed.
Let me quickly rush into some headlines.
Yeah, go quickly.
Yeah. The traditional rulers are the cause of what is happening to them. Any traditional ruler that key into politics should take whatever she saw, and that is the truth. And that's what's happening. Like here in Rivers State, it happened after Monarch was removed by this governor, one at Rumetriku. All those things are politics, and so on and so forth. Then you come to Tinubu issue and Osomole.
Tinubu made a comment that those that could not get tickets are the people fighting Oshomole. Go back to his statement, he made it. So which means he has made it clear that he tried to tie some people not to even contest. Oshomole too, in River State precisely, pronounced direct primaries. When the National Working Committee sat, they said indirect. Oshomole could not retrieve his comment up till now. I was surprised to hear Oshomole too saying that those that does not even have a councillor in their local government state will come and want to remove him. Have they not finished all their telling the whole Nigeria all about their plans since 2014
All right.
to date?
All right. So you're saying,
what are we talking about?
So you're saying the godfatherism is causing all of the brouhaha for Oshomole must go. All right. You didn't get the question. 95.1 FM.
Hello, Kalada.
Welcome, Ivy. Hello. I'm not.
Bolu, that's for you.
Oh, okay. I'm not Yoruba now, so I was wondering. All right.
I'm my sister in the studio. Good afternoon. You see, I just want to tackle the issues of farmers telling us that the border should remain closed.
Okay.
For 10 years. They are not serious. Are they happy that we Nigerians are eating sand, all in the name of eating rice? Is it what they are posting of? No, tell me one of the products, since ever the border was closed, one of the products produced by the farmers that is being imported into this country, that is well refined by these farmers who are claiming that the border should remain closed. Look, these people are joking with us, so they should stop this rubbish. Since ever they closed the border, I've not seen any difference. There's no improvement in the family, in the agricultural sector. There's no improvement.
Some people have said, that's the argument I was making with wealth. Some people have said that they have seen the improvement and they are enjoying the dividends. So maybe, I don't know, maybe you need to do a proper research or something.
Is it the sand we're eating, all in the name of eating rice?
I have local rice in my house, and I don't think there is sand inside our rice, actually.
Okay, you've never come across the sand rice.
No, I've
know
not,
what I'm telling you, the local rice.
I've not come. I have local rice in my house, and I've not come across the sand inside of it.
No worry. Very soon you will bite one sand that will make you that your teeth.
All right then.
Very stiff.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in.
He's not buying that one. He didn't buy it. Just take another call.
But on a very serious note, I have a bag of
but
rice.
Apparently he's not buying it. Why are you explaining it to us?
Because you guys are also not buying it. That's why I'm explaining it to you guys. But anyway, Trade 95.1 FM.
Hello, Canada.
Yeah, Chima, welcome.
Thank you, Canada. Canada, what has Oshomole done? Oshomole did not do anything, for my own opinion.
We're not looking at Oshomole doing or not doing anything. We're looking at it. Wait. We're looking at it from the angle of Tinubu coming up to speak, and the fact that the Court of Appeal has postponed until further notice.
What led to the court, the litigation here and there? Is it not interest? I mean, a right in Nigeria, we know that these politicians, they have so much interest. All of them have interest that they don't care to accommodate the interest of every other person. So for me, I don't blame Oshomole. If every other party member should shift their interest to accommodate the interest of others, what is happening in the people today will not have happened. You understand? That is the problem here. So Oshomole, to me, he did not do anything. Look at somebody, a governor, he want to go out and he want to push somebody. You understand? That means indirectly you are still the governor. Somebody bring a sister, bring a mother, a son-in-law, so Oshomole to allow it. I don't get it at all.
All right then. Thank you very much for calling in, Chima. There, 95.1 FM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Mr. John from Port Harcourt.
Mr. John, welcome on the show. Yeah, welcome.
Yes, I don't see Oshomole going anywhere.
But the hope for Oshomole has been dashed today.
No. I'm surprised you did not even mention that the president is meeting with all APC governors.
We do not know the outcome. We don't know the outcome of that meeting.
They are still meeting. So
and it's because of the same issue.
But like I said,
this meeting today,
let me ask you a question.
The next meeting tomorrow, whether it's holding or not.
Let me ask you a question now. Yeah.
Yes.
So what if now they go into that meeting, or they are already in that meeting, and the governors are able to persuade the president as to why Oshomole? Remember the president also wanted to save Oyegun at that time, but then the governors persuaded him and said, you know what, we want Oshomole, and Oshomole came. So what if they're able to persuade him and
they no longer
want Oshomole?
As at last week, before the weekend, if you count the 20 governors that APC has, you'll discover that even majority are
13 of them are for Oshomole.
So why would they be able to persuade them when he has majority backing him, including Tinubu?
Bolu said, you see this party thing, this party thing, is interest.
Unless something has changed.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell what I'm saying.
I am talking based on what I saw last week. So, and except maybe this weekend, everything now changed, the table now turned. But if I'm going by what I saw last week, as per the support, number of support that he has, if it's like that intact, I'm telling you that tomorrow's next.
Okay, let's first of all see the outcome of what.
Let me talk about farmers. Asking the president to keep the border closed for 10 years. You see, that's a crayon call, and these farmers are patriotic Nigerians. I can tell you that for free. If these borders remain closed as it is for 10 years, we will export rice from this country to other countries. I'm surprised that somebody is going to say that the rice is eaten, there is stone. There is lots of refined rice, different kind of rice in Nigeria. We have Mama's Pride, we have the ebony rice, we have the tomato long grains, we have lake rice. So many of them well refined and polished. I am stopped. Which rice is them eating? Please ask them if they ask you that they are eating stone rice. There are so many of them.
I would like
polished.
All right.
He's eating the very local one.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling in. Thank you very much. Let's not fight each other on the show. We are only sampling opinions, and we're trying to talk for development. And of course, society needs all of our opinions and see how we can better this movement to the promised land. Remember, it's Today's Hustle, and we are hustling on the show this afternoon. 95.1 FM.
Hello, Canada.
Welcome. Gift from Iligua.
Yeah, thank you. Well done, Bolu. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Gift.
Yes, concerning Adams Oshomole. Something will happen to Adams Oshomole. If you count the number of governors, the senators, House of Reps members, almost 60 to 70% are with Adams Oshomole.
All right.
So forget about all this noise you're hearing. It is just few persons that are powerful in the party that are making this noise. If you remember, he was even telling the world, some of them in their state, like River State, no councillor. And you're jumping from one place to the other, disturbing the party. You cannot produce ordinary councillor. The man disappointed Magnus, his friend, and gave you the platform to produce, and you are still calling Adams Oshomole. Take care. Thank you,
all right, thank you very much. Give from Indigo. 95.1 FM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon to you. Mufasa?
No, it's your friend now. Why like to forget me like?
Sorry, educate me. What's your name?
Momo,
welcome. Sorry about that. Momo, welcome. Hello?
I want to talk about that Adam Oshomole.
Quickly. Hello? All right, moving on. 95.1 FM.
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good evening. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Prince calling from Abuloma.
Welcome.
Well, for me, I support Oshomole, and I also go against Oshomole.
I mean, that's a confused statement.
If APC say Oshomole should stay, no problem. If they say you shouldn't stay, no problem. But I really pray for the party to dissolve
No. We can't have that hate speech. You can't talk about. I mean, that's hate speech, man. Then 5.1 FM.
I call back.
More welcome. You clear now.
Want to talk about that Oshimere issue?
All right then.
Any that against Oshimere is against APC.
Really?
Because want to hijack APC inside their pocket. Oshimere said no. Look at what is happening in Imo.
But if Tinubu says that they are trying to hijack the party and Oshimele is saying no, is Oshimele not also trying to hijack the party? Because a lot of people have accused him of high-handedness, of being rascal or acting in the rascal nature. Maybe he's also trying to hijack the party as well.
See, let me tell you, I'm not a member of APC. I'm not a member, but what I see that man do is not because of arrogance or. See, let me tell you, if you like truth, we will stand with you. I know the truth is better.
All right.
You understand?
All right.
That is the main thing, that a man who have dignity and who have wisdom, that is what he's supposed to do. That is what happened now in APC, is that somebody want to change everything in APC, but some of them. They have the mind, they want to hijack APC.
All right.
You understand?
All right.
So, but the man said no. So what Oshimere do, I support Oshimere 100%.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in there. One last call, 95.1 FM. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yes, you got 60 seconds.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chris.
Yeah, this is I'm calling from Port Harcourt. You see about APC and their this thing. There is something APC is hiding, and it's only few people that know that thing. The way APC came together is the same way they are going now. You can see there is a prophecy, was it like 2-3 months ago, from online. It said that APC is going to.
All right.
They're going to share you.
All right.
That's how the problem. What is happening?
All right. Thank you very much. We've got to go now. Thank you very much for that one. But that's how we wrap the first half of today's hustle.
We end it in prophecies.
Yes. And we're going to prophesy that there will be a second half of today's hustle.
And so shall it be.
No, that's a prophecy. All right. Stay tuned. News update at 2 up next. And after that, today's hustle continues.
Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today, 95.1 FM.
Today, 95.1 FM. Port Harcourt. News update.
All right, good afternoon. Here is the news update. It's you and today, 95.1 FM. I am Kala Dakarabatibo. South chapter of the All Progressive Congress, APC, have thrown their support for Adams Oshimole less than 24 hours to the contentious Emergency National Executive Committee, NEC, to determine his fate as the party's national chairman. The zone declared its support in a communique released in Abuja to newsmen after a NEC meeting of the zone. The leaders of the region blamed the plot to remove Oshimole on some agents of destabilization within the party. The communique was signed by the Deputy Senate President, Senator Ovie Omo-Agege, National Vice Chairman Iliad Ita, Deputy National Publicity Secretary Yekini Nabena, Peter Akpatason, and 13 other NEC members. Commandant General, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Abdullahi Muhammadu, has warned people residing within the petroleum pipeline network and gas installations areas to vacate, as such was illegal and a threat to their lives. He spoke in reaction to the explosion that rocked the Abule Ado area of Festic Town, Lagos State. He said tampering, digging, building and erecting kiosks or shops on gas pipeline and dumping or burning refuse around gas facility and pipeline always pose danger to lives and properties of the residents. Even parking of vehicles, motorcycles, farming and smoking in gas pipeline areas are very dangerous to human existence.